Monday. I don't think I updated this vlog yesterday. I closed yesterday's vlog out, and I think I did some vlog footage. I don't remember what B-roll I filmed yesterday, but I know I filmed something. But yes, I'm here for another weekly vlog, and I wanted to update you with how my reading is going. So on Sunday, yesterday, I did end up reading or listening to the first play in this, A Doll's House. So now I've done two of them, Ghosts and A Doll's House. A Doll's House is about a woman who takes on a loan on behalf of her husband. I believe this is, let's see. I don't know when this was written. I want to say 19th century to early 20th century. I'm not sure exactly when these were written, but I think that's around the time like when Henrik Ibsen was writing plays. But it's about a wife who, her husband is sick at some point, and so she takes out a loan to take him to Italy because that's going to save his life or whatever. But she lies on the paperwork and says she has a co-signer because women aren't allowed to sign contracts by themselves. And then she signs into the contract by herself. And then the guy who works at the bank finds out that she forged a signature of her father because her dad was actually dead at the time that she did it. Anyways, it's this whole thing. And then at like the end of the play, she leaves her husband. And I think that's why it was such a like big deal at the time. It was really good. And I was a little worried that some things written that are like scandalous for the times, about like a woman leaving her husband, because that wasn't really a thing that happened. Some things that write in that style tend to like over demonize the male character to be like, he's bad, so she's okay to leave, and she is so good and so virtuous. But both of these characters were like equally flawed. They felt very personable, so I really enjoyed that. I don't know if I mentioned, I listened to this as an audiobook, or the first play I listened to as an audiobook. I wish the other ones were available via audio because I get so much more out of a play from either watching it or like listening to the audio of it. So I might try to see if I can find a play version on YouTube or something for An Enemy of the People or The Wild Duck, which are the two that I have left to read in this. But yeah, I'm like halfway through that, so that's pretty good. A Little Life, I'm at the same spot, and it's daunting to think about. I'm making a bagel, I don't know if I mentioned that, and I think I burnt it. It looks kind of dark. Oh well. With my new toaster oven, you want to see? We'll see real quick. There she is. So delightful. I'll put some cream cheese on it and eat it after I film this update. But yeah, so I'm getting so behind on the 31 books in 31 days thing that I feel like I'm going to put A Little Life down for a while. And I might end up finishing it in November. I'm going to try to read more of it, but it's just, I would rather prioritize something that I think I can conceivably finish than that. Speaking of things I can conceivably finish, I'm still reading Spook. I am on page 243, I guess, and there's like 295 pages, so I'm really close to finishing this one. This should be done tonight, hopefully. I feel like I've been saying that about this book for like a week, but really this time. And then I sort of started reading The Watchmen, never really sat down and read it, but I'm gonna try to sit down and read this either today or tomorrow, maybe both. Just so I can have another thing done. This is another graphic novel. And it's another one by Alan Moore, who is the same guy who wrote, there it is, Alan Moore. He wrote, God, I'm losing my mind. I just read it. V for Vendetta. And he also wrote The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which we also have a volume of. So once I finish this, I'm probably going to pick that up. And then, because I finished The Glass Castle, which was the audiobook I was listening to, and yesterday I listened to A Doll's House, I started the audiobook for Life After Life. This is the first book in the Todd family series. I don't know if I think there's just 2 books, but I could be wrong about that. But it's about a woman, Ursula Todd, who dies on the day she's born before she can ever take her first breath. And then it like follows her story up until her death multiple times. So like at one point at the very beginning, she drowns when she's little at the beach. And then it goes back and does the scene over again, but someone saves her from drowning. So it's basically like going into what her life is like each time before she dies. And then there's supposed to be some sort of like, she figures out that she has this infinite life, like a cat has 9 lives, but she figures out that she's not dying. She's just going back to wherever the mistake she made was and then getting to relive it. And it says, does Ursula's apparently infinite number of lives give her the power to save the world from its inevitable destiny? And if she can, will she? So I'm only like 50 pages into this, and it's 500 and something pages. It's like a 16-hour audiobook, I think. But it's really 525 pages. It's pretty interesting so far. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, but pretty much all I've gotten from the first 50 or so pages is like the premise. But I want to say, I don't know, I'm interested. And it's historical fiction. It's set around, she's born in 1910. And then I want to say she ends up being a spy in World War II based on the first scene that you get a snip of. But I don't know that that is true necessarily. But I am listening to this, and I will keep you updated on my progress. But now I'm going to eat my bagel, watch some YouTube. I might. So I usually put on like either live sets from KEXP or an NPR Tiny Desk, or Hate 56 does like hardcore shows typically. And I like their drum cams especially because it's just like something about listening to the drums is soothing to me. But I might put that on a low volume while I read, or I sometimes do like the ambient music thing, but I'm going to put something on and then read a little bit, I think. And I can't decide if I want to commit to finishing this right now or reading one other of these plays. I might commit to finishing this, and then I'll have one more thing off my list and give you my full review of this. I know a lot of people don't rate nonfiction or memoirs specifically, but I think I do rate my nonfiction, and at this point, this is like a 3-star for me. It's the sub-thing, Science Tackles the Afterlife. It doesn't really, like, it's mostly this woman talking to people who believe in, like, psychics and mediums, and basically her being like, I don't think this is real, but here are, like, studies of people who have, like, talked about psychics. And she talks a lot about, like, the history of the psychic and the medium, and how, like, back in the day, they believed that women used to hide the ectoplasm. It's, like, at a seance, what's supposed to be, like, the spirit matter or something, but it's usually, like, cheesecloth that the women either, like, hid somewhere in their body or, like, threw up. I don't know. It's interesting, but also it seems like it's not what I wanted out of it, I guess. I wanted this to be more about, like, following, like, neuroscience and brainwaves about, like, what happens to people who are, like, either deep in a coma or people who have died and come back. But it's just very, like, I don't know. It is what it is. And her humor, like, parts of it are really funny, and then other parts kind of get on my nerves. I don't want to say I'm sensitive, but, like, I'm a little sensitive to people who have, like, either religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs or something like that, and someone coming in and being like, I think this is ridiculous and stupid, and so I'm going to make fun of it. I don't know why I'm sensitive to that. That just kind of, like, rubs me the wrong way, just because I feel like it's not hurting anybody. Why bother getting mad about it? I don't know. But I'm still reading this. I'm going to finish this while I eat my bagel. My bagel. Do you guys like bagels? Let me know down below. We just bought everything bagels because we're trying to figure out what to do with our toaster oven that we just got, and I'm very excited about it. But yes, I'm going to go read, and this is over. Goodbye. Hello. Let me open the blinds. I don't know how much that'll help because it is an extremely gloomy day. This is kind of a weird angle. I don't know if that's better. I feel like it's like cutting off the top of my head and I'm not sure why. It doesn't matter. I wanted to give you a reading update because it has been a while. I'm still in my kitchen. The lighting is best here, I think, than anywhere else in the house. It's about 1 on Tuesday. And I can't remember what I updated you with last. So I'm gonna just start at the top, I guess. I did finish Spook, I guess yesterday. God, it feels like it's been such a long day. I had like a really bad stomach ache on Sunday, so I went to bed really early. I don't know if I talked about that. And I woke up like in time for class and stuff. And then last night and yesterday, I don't know, I've just been feeling really like down. So I got out my lamp and I've just been like trying to regroup and just relax. And I did end up sleeping in pretty late this morning, so that's why I'm still like catching up on my homework and stuff. But I did just want to pop in and do this. So I finished Spook yesterday. It feels like it's been like 2 weeks, but it was yesterday, I guess. And I don't know if I updated you with that. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I have a lot of gripes on it. I'll leave my Goodreads review linked down below if you want to read more about like what I thought. And I was just disappointed in parts of the way that it was written. I found the middle very dull. And it wasn't a long book, but it took me like over a week to read, which, I mean, I typically space out my nonfiction, so that's not that surprising. But anyways, it was just interesting. I did end up listening to The Wild Duck yesterday. I found audiobooks of them on, they're like public domains, they're on YouTube. So I listened to that, and then I found one for An Enemy of the People today, so I'm going to listen to that. And hopefully then I'll have this crossed off the list. And then I've been reading The Watchmen still. I'm about halfway through. I don't know if you can tell. There's page numbers for the individual volumes, but not for the book as a whole. So I am enjoying this. If you don't know, this is like a dark superhero book, where it's the world post superheroes, because they've been made illegal. And then there's a guy named Dr. Manhattan who like is basically radioactive. He's like not human anymore because he got into some like lab experiment accident where it like rewrote all of his genes, and so now he's like knows a lot about the universe. I don't really know how to explain it. It's pretty good. This won the Hugo. People are really like into this. Alan Moore also looks a little like a cult leader. His picture's on the back of the hair. See that? That's very Manson-esque if you've seen pictures of Charles Manson. That's interesting. Anyways. Yeah, but he also wrote V for Vendetta, and then he wrote another comic that I'm hoping to start, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So I have a volume of that to read as well. I'm enjoying the art style of this a lot more than I enjoyed the art style of V for Vendetta. It's a little bit more like bright. It's still dark, but it's got like brighter colors, and I feel like it's easier for me to differentiate characters with this. But I also might just be getting better at reading a comic, if that makes sense. But it's interesting because part of this is told from like the journal of Rorschach. I've seen the movie, but I can't remember how the name is pronounced. But it's basically like the one masked superhero who's still being a masked vigilante, even though vigilantism is illegal. And there's a movie about this. I don't know if you've seen it. I saw it a couple years ago. And I might watch it again after I finish this because I am really enjoying this. I feel like I'm not really making much sense right now, but it is what it is. It also has like segments that are written like an actual book, that are from like one of the fictional characters wrote a book about like a memoir about being a superhero, so that's in it. I think the overall plot is that someone is coming after the superheroes who are left and killing them, because the opening scene is the superhero, the comedian, being killed, and then Dr. Manhattan gets exiled, and like all this stuff is happening that's like Rorschach or whatever his name is trying to figure out who is doing it, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I've mentioned this before. Superhero plots are kind of hard for me to follow or care about. So I think Matt's coming home. I think I saw his car drive by. So I'll try to be quick with the rest of this. I'm at the same spot that I was with A Little Life. I am reading or listening to Life After Life. I'm 200 pages into this and I'm really enjoying this. It's just really interesting. It's not as repetitive as I thought it was going to be, because at the beginning she keeps dying as a child, and so it's like going back and just living her childhood over and over again. And then once she like is able to get through those hurdles, she lives to like her late teens to adulthood and stuff, so it's more interesting. I think I mentioned, but the plot of this is basically it's about a girl, Ursula Todd, who dies the day she's born and then is reborn, and so she keeps like falling off a roof and dying when she's a kid, or she catches the flu and she dies, or etc. And then she learns from those experiences and changes basically her fate, and the fate of those around her. So it's pretty interesting. Then I have A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which I've mentioned I'm going to start and finish hopefully after I finish Watchmen, which, if I am counting right, I read Spook this week. I also finished, oh no, never mind. I think I'm gonna finish this week, hopefully. God, I can't imagine if I still have to do this next week. So this will be finished this week. Then I'll finish The Watchmen this week, which is 3. And then I'm thinking I can finish this week, so that's 4. But the thing is, I don't know what other audiobook I would listen to. And then this would be 5. And then this I'm gonna hopefully try to get to about halfway. And then, let me grab the other things that I'm gonna read after this. Hold on. I have a list of things that I really wanna get to before this project is over. One of them is a manga of The Nightmare Before Christmas. So I think that would be really fun and probably a pretty easy, light read. Another one is The Haunted, yes, by Bentley Little. I bought this for Summerween, I think is what that readathon was called. I'll post my wrap up from that down below. I did participate in that. I didn't get to this. However, a haunted house book, Ruth Wears From the Key actually, arrived from my library. I was on like a wait list for it, so I bought this in the interim thinking I wouldn't have time to get to that. And then I got it from the library, so I read that, and that was actually a fantastic book. I really loved that book. It's one of my favorites of the year. But I have this to read. I think this came out in 2010 or something. This is not new, but it was at my Walmart, so I bought it. And then I want to get to The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde still. Still hoping to get to that. And then I have a couple of more like academic reads. So Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. Finding out that that audiobook isn't actually an audiobook of that really put a damper on me reading that, so I don't know if I'm going to get to it now. And then I want to read Dante Alighieri, His Life and Works, and then I do want to read The Divine Comedy again. I read the first 2 when I was in high school, and then I never got to Paradiso, so hopefully I can do, you know, Inferno, Purgatorio, Paradiso after I read this. I wonder if it would be better to read that before this. I don't know, but I am interested in reading this at some point. Maybe this will just be the next nonfiction that I start when I'm finished with, I guess I'm not reading nonfiction right now, but I might push this to just be like a nonfiction that I read over a span of time because it seems a little academic, which I'm not opposed to. It's also not that long. It looks kind of long, but the text isn't very big. And there's a lot of appendices. Appendixes? I don't really know what word that would be. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Those are what I have to work with. I still have a ton of books left on my shelf, by the way. It's all in there. I have not done great. I'll count later today how much I've actually read. But it hasn't been very good. I don't know. We'll just see. We'll just see. Murphy, you want to come say hi? Come here. You want to say hi? Yeah. So I'm going to make myself another cup of coffee and then finish my homework so I can read. That's my plan for the day. But just thought I'd check in. Also, before I forget, I got more leaves on my walk today for my leaf collection. And I want to show them to you. So we have this like dark burgundy leaf, which I think is really pretty. And then we have this just plain red one, which is also very pretty and very big. I like this one that's like a combination of those two. Very fun. This one is kind of like the other one, but less pretty. I probably picked this one up first and then found the other one. But you know, we still love her. She's still looking good. And then we have this one, which is like a yellow orange with like brown on the ends, which I think is really pretty as well. We have a lot of red around here, but there's not a lot of like orange and yellow. At least not in that like very beautiful leaf. There's a lot of like small yellow leaves. I don't know what different trees are called. But anyways, that's it. That's my leaf collection. Thank you. You awake now? Hello, I'm back sat in front of my shelves. It's Thursday. I didn't check in yesterday because I had a lot of school stuff going on yesterday. We went and voted yesterday. So if you have not voted and you live in the US, you should go vote. I know for Arkansas, early voting is open until October 31st, I think. So yes, go vote, go early vote. Why wait till election day when you could just go early and not have to wait in as many lines? Yeah, voting was fine. It didn't take very long. There was like social distancing, so there were like lines of tape 6 feet apart, and then a lot of the time you were outdoors. So we We used to go to the Boys and Girls Club, but they moved it to like a dance studio for whatever reason. I don't really care, but we vote there. And yeah, but you wait outside for a time just because there's not as much room inside and they space everybody out, or at least ours did. There's hand sanitizer. You get your own stylus. Is that what it's called? I think you were supposed to be able to keep your stylus, but I thought you had to give them back, so I gave mine back. So I don't have anything that says that I voted, but I did vote. And that's that. And now I also did a lot of good reading yesterday. So I finished the last 2 plays in 4 Great, or the last play, I guess, is all I had left in 4 Great Plays. I'm not going to rate this. I don't really know because it's 4 different things. I feel like it was fine. A Doll's House is the best one of these, and I still maintain that plays are meant to be watched, not read. So that's sort of how I feel about that. This is Matt's, but if he doesn't care about it, then we might just give this to Go to Bell because I don't think I'll ever want to look at it again. Then I also finished Watchmen, and I really enjoyed Watchmen. So I wish this angle wasn't so weird, but I feel like I can't sit up any higher. Whatever. So Watchmen is like an anti-hero type story. Not really, but it's about these people who were masked superheroes in the 40s, and then the second generation of masked superheroes in the United States. And how, like, in the 70s they became illegal. This is set in the mid to late 80s. I think Alan Moore writes primarily, like, dystopians set in, like, modern, like, alternate histories, but, like, modern times. I don't really know. Modern for him. He wrote all of his stuff in the 80s and 90s, I believe. But this was good. There's some topics in here that I don't feel like Moore handled very well, and he did similar things in V for Vendetta, but it just was never as blatant. And the way he writes female characters reminds me a little bit of Stephen King, where it's kind of like, you can tell that he's trying to make them, like, a positive portrayal, but also you can tell that he, like, has never met a woman that he feels positively about. I don't really know. It's interesting, the way that he writes female characters, because I already said that, but Stephen King kind of does the same thing, where, like, he writes a character that you can tell he thinks is, like, a strong female lead, but as a woman reading it, you're like, she's so one-dimensional. There's nothing impressive about her. Like, arguably the female lead in this is, can't even remember her name, that's great, Laurie, who is, like, a superhero, and she is dating Dr. Manhattan, is that what his name is? Who was, like, he fell into, like, something with physics, fell into some sort of generator, and it, like, rewrote his genes, so now he's, like, a super person. He's the only one with actual powers. And then Laurie's, like, his girlfriend, but it's basically, like, he doesn't care about her. She's just his little plaything, and so she's, like, one of the main characters of this book, but she's still very one-dimensional, and, like, she's always, like, shaming her mom for her mom's choices, and, like, talking bad about other women and what they do. It's just very weird to me. But anyways, I mean, I thought it was good. I ended up giving it 4 stars, I think. I think it was just barely scraped a 4-star, but it was good, you know. Then I'm still reading, I'm trying to make these updates shorter, and it's not working, but I'm still reading Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. I'm still really enjoying this. I'm about 360 pages in, so I have a little under 200 pages left. Yeah, this is really good. Parts of it are kind of confusing just because every time she, like, dies, she's born again or whatever, and she gets to try her life over. And she, like, kind of has some recollection of what happened before, but it's mostly just, like, she has a premonition that if she does something, something bad will happen to her or something bad will happen to her family. Basically, I think is, like, how it's going. The longer she gets to live in her previous lives or her current life, we go to the spot where she makes the decision that's different, and then we sort of follow from there, but a lot of times it skips forward, like, 8 years, just randomly, and it tells you the date, but for me, it's kind of hard to keep the dates, because I'm listening to it, it's harder to keep the dates straight, so if you're reading this might not be as much of a problem, but I do find it to be a little confusing, and that I have to, like, go and look where we were before and how old, like, do the math to how old she is now, just because it skips in time some, and I get that she does that so that it's not just, like, constantly repeating her first 16 years and like this is what happened and this is the decision she made that didn't kill her when she was 8 and this is the decision she made that didn't kill her when she was 13 and so on and so forth. Like I get it, but I just find it a little confusing sometimes. So that's the only hiccup that I would say with that one. And then I'm gonna start, now that I finished Watchmen, I'm gonna read the first volume of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, just for something quick to get through this week to up my numbers, because now I'm at 3. If I read this, it'll be 4. And I believe I can finish this, so that'll be 5. So that might be my best week so far, which is pretty good. But I'm also going to focus my attentions on A Little Life, just to get as far as I can in this through the weekend. And then next week I'll probably pick up something that'll be quicker to read, just so that I can get through some more stuff. But I do really want to get to A Little Life. And I found an ebook of it from my library, so I downloaded that on my phone so that I can just like quickly read through. Yeah, so hopefully that'll make it go faster. That way I don't have to lug this around and hold it up. I can just be on my phone and scrolling. So, easy peasy. This is the plan for the rest of the week. I think I'll be able to get through it pretty easily. So I'm pretty excited about that. For now, I do have some homework to do today, and I need to edit the description box of the video that's going up today, because last week's vlog is going up today. Y'all, these vlogs are they don't take that long they take a while to edit, because it usually takes me 2 to 2.5 times, sometimes 3 times as long. So like this past week I had about an hour and a half worth of footage, and it took me a little over 3 hours to edit it all, which is pretty like standard, on par for how long it takes me to edit things. I am getting quicker, but I'm still not like a machine yet. And I bet you can tell my editing's not super great. But I also, to be fair to editing me, filming me doesn't really give editing me a lot to work with a lot of the time. Which is something that I need to like get better at in my brain, but I don't even know where I was going with that. Basically, it just takes me a really long time to upload to YouTube, so that's why I'm no longer trying to do these for Sunday's video. Because editing them wasn't a problem last time. I just could not get it to upload, and my computer kept crashing, and everything kept freezing. That was the world's longest update that you didn't need to know about. But yes, I'm gonna read some stuff and maybe film some B-roll. I don't think I have any B-roll for this week, so I apologize. I need to get on that, but yeah. You sheepin'? You sheepin' over there?
He will do that. Now, George, the president complains bitterly about the fact that the microphone will be muted for some of the answers, for some of this. But his advisors actually think that that will be good for the president. What they really want to come out of this debate is for Joe Biden to make a mistake. And they believe that that is more likely to happen if the president isn't constantly interrupting him.
Right, they want to let Joe Biden talk.
Hey, time for another update. It's Friday. It's about 3 o'clock. And I literally just finished Life After Life, so I'm pretty excited about that. This was really good. I haven't run it through Copilot or anything yet, but I truly enjoyed this. I'm thinking it'll probably be a 4-star. I don't think it's like a favorite book or anything, but it was really good. There were a few parts. So the premise of this book is that a girl is basically, every time she dies, she is born again, and she's just living her life over and over again. But what I thought was really interesting about it is that sometimes other people in her life make different choices. So it's not just that she changes what she's doing. It's that like sometimes other people change what they do. Which I thought was particularly interesting, just because you would think that if she's living on the same timeline, everything would be the same, except for things that change because of her choices. But there were at least 2 things that changed based, like before she was born, based on other people's decisions, which I thought was really interesting. So this is really good. I'm really interested in the whole like idea of not necessarily reincarnation, but just like every choice you make changes your life and the lives of people around you. I'm sorry that you can see the end of this table. I just noticed that. Hope that's not annoying. But yeah, I'm really interested in that concept. I know, is it The Midnight Library by Matt Haig? I think it came out this year, maybe even like earlier this month or last month. I've heard Books with Emily Fox talk about that book, and it sounds super interesting. It's a similar concept, but in that book, I think it's a woman who is just really disappointed in her life. And so I think she commits suicide or is going to commit suicide, and she ends up in this midnight library where every book in the library is her life if she made a different choice. So she gets to experience all of her different choices or all of her different options and see if she really does regret the path that she is on, or if it would have been better if she made a different choice, stuff like that. I think stuff like that's so fascinating. So yeah, this conceptually was right up my alley, and I think it was really well written. My only big complaint with it is that there are a few times, I talked about this in I think the last update that I did on this, there were a few times where she dies and so she restarts, and it jumps to a point in time, like a future point in time, because obviously there's no point in rehashing how she survives childhood after a certain point, because it would just be kind of boring, I guess. But sometimes it jumped to a certain point, and then she was just like in her life, but you don't really see the choice that she made to get there, so it doesn't really... There's one in particular where she ends up in an entirely different place than she was in the last life, but usually prior to that chapter, every time that had happened, you were taken to the point where she makes a different choice, and then you get to sort of see where that choice leads her. But in this one, it was just she was somewhere else, and you didn't really get to see where what choices led to that right away. Eventually, she would have like flashbacks of like, I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this, that just like explain it really quick, but I found it kind of confusing in the moment. So yes, I really enjoyed this. I would highly recommend if that sounds like something that's interesting to you. The audiobook was pretty good. It's just a standard audiobook. I will say the very ending scene, the music starts to play during it, and it scared the crap out of me because I wasn't expecting that. So you've been warned if that happens to you. Then I did also finish The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I can't remember if I checked in and said that I finished this or not. This is just like a little under 200 pages. It's a graphic novel, again, by Alan Moore. Apparently we have a lot of Alan Moore graphic novels. But this follows a group of like ragtag figures at the end of the 19th century, and they're on a quest for like their mystery boss. It's interesting because it like deals a lot with like Sherlock Holmes, and then Jekyll and Hyde is in this. So yeah, like you can see on the cover, that guy is, where is he at? That's Dr. Jekyll, and then his reflection is Mr. Hyde, because that's who he is. And I don't know if the other people are the same. But basically it just follows, this woman is hired by she's hired by, I guess, the ministry. It's set in London, to go get this group of people together. And they decide, they solve different mysteries, and they have to sort of like save London. It deals with like the not opium wars, because those were in China, but like the opium crisis in England at this time. So, yeah, it's interesting. I thought it was interesting. I have the same type of qualm with Moore's writing generally. Actually, Matt looked it up yesterday, because I was asking him, there's Watchmen, that's the one I finished earlier this week as well. I was asking Matt, my boyfriend, who brought these from his like childhood home, to our home now, and I was asking him if he remembered like thinking that Alan Moore was like right-leaning, or thinking that he was like a fascist or any of these things, and apparently he was an anarchist. So he could have been like a right-leaning anarchist, like Rorschach in Watchmen, I think, which is interesting. I don't know, but this book, all of his works deal a lot with besides this one, actually, I will say, V for Vendetta and The Watchmen especially deal with a lot with like a government that is taking over too much, and like a far-reaching government, usually like a fascist regime, and it deals a lot with like moral faults in society. It was also written in the 80s. I just don't really know much about Alan Moore and his politics, but if you were wondering about that, as I was, that's all I really was able to get from it, is that he considers himself an anarchist. And I looked up some other stuff because I was feeling like his works are a little misogynistic, and this one's not really an exception. They all have female like leads, but all of their female leads are very all of the female leads are very one-dimensional. They're all very, like, almost shallow. If they're gonna be, like, if you're supposed to look positively on them, they look down on the other women that are around them. And he uses rape as a plot point and sexual assault just as a, like, plot point. In this one especially, there's, like, a whole section that's just about, like, this guy who's invisible is, like, molesting young girls and getting them pregnant. And so they think that it's, like, immaculate conception because he's invisible. Which, I don't know. And everyone just sort of, like, accepts that and is okay with it, and no one really says anything about it. There's stuff like that in, like, kind of all of his works that I'm just not super into. But, it's good. It's a romp if you, like, I feel like if you're able to look past that kind of thing. Because I feel the same way about a lot of Stephen King's content. A lot of the time Stephen King will include rape, not necessarily to address the trauma that it causes, but just for, like, shock factor or, like, a plot point, which I personally don't enjoy. But that's that. So it's over there, but at this point, all I have left, well, I have a lot of stuff left, but all I have left for this weekend that I'm going to focus on is A Little Life. So I'm really excited about that. I do have to take my dogs on one more walk, so I'm probably going to download another audiobook today. I think I'm going to do South of Broad by Pat Conroy, which is, I think, another one of, it's one of Matt's books from growing up, but I think it's another book that he really enjoyed. He had to read it in high school. So, pretty excited about that. It's historical fiction. I don't really know that much about it, except for that it's set in the U.S., I believe around the time of, like, segregation. And I think it's sort of about, like, that. I don't really know, though. I could be entirely wrong. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm excited to finally sit down and read A Little Life. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do right now. I don't remember the last clip that I filmed for this. I think it was just me reading A Little Life, but I did want to go ahead and close off this vlog. It's now Monday, so sorry. On Saturday night, we wound up going to Eureka Springs, and I didn't film anything because it was dark and it was really cold, but we did a walking ghost tour, so that was really fun. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching this vlog. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more videos from me, please go ahead and subscribe. The last vlog for this, like, Vlogtober will be up next Thursday. So keep an eye out for that. I don't know how exciting it's going to be because we're going out of town this coming weekend. So yeah, this weekend. And I don't know that I'm going to vlog one there. But anyways, yeah, like I said, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you would like to, you can go ahead and subscribe to my channels. All my social medias will be down below. If you want to follow me around on any of those, I have my Goodreads, Instagram, and Twitter down there. And let me know what you've been reading this week. And I will see you in the next one.